All right. Hello, everyone. Make sure everything's running as it should. Hey, it is. Oh, awesome. My name's Kevin. I am the founder of Cyber Social Hub, and welcome to the Cyber Sleuth Show. I had to create one that I just could hardly say, so I made sure I have to slow down to actually say it. So if you're seeing this and you're live with us, it's Friday, in case you forgot, um, and it's 2 o'clock Eastern here in the United States. So we give you that end of week break. You're like, it's Friday. Is it almost over? No, it's only 2. So we just put the show on here so you can enjoy it and skip out of work for the rest of the day. Because this is educational training, right? You need this. You can tell your boss that. I don't give you CPE credits or anything for it, but you're bound to learn something. You're going to learn like, why did I waste my time on this show? Or you're going to learn something amazing. Either one. Hopefully, it's something pretty amazing. And again, we try to do this every Friday, and just with some awesome topics and awesome guests, as you're going to see here in just a little bit. But with that, we have sponsors of the show, and I actually have to get or put something else in here as a sponsor. I keep forgetting to change the sponsor because it's me. This is another side of our company that we have. It's called Blue Line Intel, and essentially, if you're in law enforcement, there's two parts to this brand. If you guys have heard of the Lake and Riley case at all, which happened a few years back, we have some software that allows law enforcement to share information securely back and forth, and they can do it amongst agencies. They can do it internally, and it's so easy to use. We made it really simple because I kind of use myself as the baseline, being former SWAT and a police officer myself. It's just like, hey, it's just push buttons type. So we made it look like kind of a social media piece in there. It's really that easy. And the other side of Blue Line Intel is our brand new product, which I actually just got to present to a bunch of different police departments and agencies yesterday, which was really exciting. It's called Blue Sentry, and it's an actual AI that will answer and triage a phone call prior to it going to a dispatcher. So the dispatchers don't have to deal with, hey, Bob's grass is 10 feet tall and he's got a car with no tires on it, sitting in his yard for 3 months. Don't have to deal with those. The AI actually will transfer the call off to code enforcement or property maintenance or wherever division that it needs to go. So they're not doing a receptionist job, right? They're doing what they're trained to do, and that's dispatch, keep track of officers, make sure the public is safe. People need to be where they need to be and not be dealing with some of the silly stuff that comes into to police departments. So anyway, that's our products. If you are in law enforcement, it's over there. Just scan that QR code. It'll drive you right over there. All right, I'm gonna go pop up some chat, and hopefully I fixed my chat from last week. Close. I'm just barely cut off at the top now. I tried fixing this right up here, and you can see it's cut off just a little bit, but that's all right. So hey, Ron, thanks very much. Yeah, skipped out on my birthday last week, brother. I won't forget that. It's all right. You can. That's fine. And Mo has made it. Yeah, it has been a while, Mo. So I'm glad you're back. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Friday. All right, I'm just gonna get right to it. I don't have anything else to talk about, so we're gonna bring Justin up right now. I loved your topic, Justin, today. So I'm excited about this. We're going to get nerdy, yeah?
I think so. Maybe.
Okay. All right. I'm
But,
interested to see how to do stuff. And, I went a little over top with some of the promotion material. If you saw it when I pushed it out today, I was like, investigating
I
Skynet, stuff like that.
yeah, I saw that. That's the one I got. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if yeah, if Skynet is a llama with a little llama logo, but no, I enjoyed it. I clicked on it and I was coming. I was already coming. I was already on the guest list, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, I think not AI is not a huge topic right now, so I thought I'd swing in and bring some light to it.
Right?
Everybody, oh my gosh, that's all
Yeah,
we
it seems
talk
like
about.
everybody wants to talk about AI, but that's okay. I love talking about it. As you know, I have a whole side of the company that's dedicated to voice um, AI, which is a little bit different than normal AI, but because it can actually
No,
talk
I
back to
think
you. She gets sassy
yeah,
too. Sassy.
I wonder if they had like like radio broadcasts just on like the Industrial Revolution when that happened, because like, it didn't happen as quick as AI, but I think we're looking at that kind of a shift, right, in how
Hmm.
business is done. And they just didn't have the internet for everybody to get on and complain and talk about it and whatever. They just had to write a letter to their neighbor 16 miles away or something that they leave on the farm. I don't know, but no, a lot of the top topics that I'm seeing around right now, and that I've posted about, kind of fall into two camps. Either a, why, if you're in the forensic circles, which you probably are if you're here, it's like why we will be using it in the future, right? I don't think it's going to replace examiners, but it's definitely going to come in. Or it falls into the why AI is dangerous and the impacts it's going to have on the industry, which I think is also an important discussion to have for sure. But one of the things that I've been messing around with a lot lately is actually looking at uh, how people can use AI offline. Okay. What are some of the artifacts if you had to investigate someone who was using an AI system to, execute some shenanigans? Because we talk about the dangers a lot, about how they're going to be, used against corporations, industries, individuals, these deep fakes we talk about. But when you think about it, the big players like ChatGPT, uh, even Grok, a little bit. Grok's great, but like its guardrails are a little soft sometimes. Um,
Grok is my therapist, by the way. So
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
kidding.
Like, yeah, Copilot and all them. Anyway, uh, they do have these guardrails. They're run by big business, and so it's yes, maybe.
There you go, Ron.
Uh, I guess. Uh, Good question. So they have these guardrails. So here's an example of where the guardrails can get overzealous. So this was like maybe a year or so ago. I don't remember. But I was writing a script that would go to twitch.tv and it would
Hmm.
just capture all the chat, and it would just store it to a SQLite database. And so you could give it a list of channels and say, hey, just capture the chat. And I just want it to sit there and listen. And um, you can fill up a SQLite database pretty quick. I mean, they don't fill, but like it goes crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
But so I was pulling that. Well, I was working with ChatGPT at the time to add a feature. And what I wanted to be able to do is, instead of specifying, so the way the script works right now is I would say, okay, hey, go to Kevin DeLong's channel, go to Justin Tolman. I can like delimitate what?
That word.
You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That word. Uh, the channels, and it would go and listen to those channels and store them into the SQLite database. But what I wanted it to do was just be able to specify a category. So, you know, pick a, Minecraft, or I don't even know, whatever. And it would just grab every single channel on there and just listen and dump their chat. And the reason for that was there's like just talking, and there was news channels. And so what we found, like with the Miracle on the Hudson, the Sully plane landing, is that
Hmm.
Twitter and social media often break the news well before traditional traditional media will. And so I was thinking, well, hey, let's write a script that will capture this news twitch where people are just constantly talking about news, and see if we can break it. Anyway, the AI came back and said, when I asked it to use Twitch's API to do this stuff, it was like, oh, that sounds a bit like you're trying to do some illegal stuff. I'm not going to let you do that. And even when I came back and said, no, like, I want to use Twitch's officially released API code as shown here, I just need to know this stuff. It was like, no, I don't like, it's like, I don't feel comfortable with that. And it stopped me. So you know, the big box stuff has, I'm not saying it's perfect. Don't misquote me on like, oh, you can't do bad stuff with that. But where you can start to get really creative is when you pull down stuff like Olama, and that allows you to run AI models and other processes completely offline. Which I don't, you wouldn't be able to see it, but it's like down here somewhere. I have this beefy laptop. It's like that thick, and it's got 32 cores and 32 gigs of RAM and everything. And I have a Linux server running on it with Olama. And I have about 2 or 3 models that I've loaded into it that I can now basically do whatever I want, you know? And now the models, how this works though, is I'll also talk about stable diffusion for generative image creation. Some of the models, they don't have guardrails as we think of like rules or like, oh, I can't do this. What they do to set those up is when we talk about stable diffusion, for example, stable diffusion is an actual image generation process and models use it. But stable diffusion was trained with stuff, but they did not train it on nudity and they didn't train it on violent images. So if you were to try to prompt to that, in theory, it doesn't know how to do it because it was never fed that training data. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, perfectly.
But what I can do, not that I would, but I could take archives of like nude images or violent images and start to train my model to do whatever I wanted. And that's kind of the idea of why we need to know how to investigate these localized or offline models. And Olama's not bad, right? Of course, Olama's great for running localized AI for businesses as well, for home, for privacy. That's the banner they fly under, is this privacy and self-managed and, you know, total control type thing. People are using that tool to do stuff that they probably shouldn't,
To
if that makes
build
sense.
Skynet. Gotcha.
Yeah, maybe.
See, I had
Fortunately,
to put the title in
I
there
don't know.
somehow. Or
Yeah. No. Fortunately, at least like my issues when I look at building, because I want to build a better Linux box to host various things that I'm doing with that. Um, the price starts to go up quick when you start to build these little GPU farms. And so fortunately, I think that's what'll keep Skynet at bay from anyone's home network is just simple compute. But yeah, exactly. Time to build HAL 9000. The other issue is the heat. I mean, I have 5 computers running in here right now, and this room gets hot. I would not want, you know. Anyway, okay. So the point is that Olama is a system that allows you to easily set up a home-based AI system. So at this point, I could have coding models that I get from Hugging Face. We'll take a look at Hugging Face here in a second if you haven't seen it before. But
I've not heard of it. It sounds very friendly. Did you say
oh
Hugging
yeah, let
Face?
me
Is that what you said?
Hugging Face. Yeah. So let me
That's what I thought
share
you
the.
said.
Let me
It
share
brings up
this real
images
quick.
of Care Bears in my head for some reason when you say that every time.
Yeah, well, I mean they do. They have the little. I don't know if my screen is sharing now, but
Hold on, I
they
gotta
have
figure
the.
out how to bring it up here. Okay, I'm gonna pop it up and see what happens.
Yeah.
Solo,
Let's see if we can break this in the
solo,
process.
solo. All right, hang on. Assign. See, I should get to know my software a little bit better.
Nah,
Um,
ask AI. It'll do it.
yeah, hang on. Let me switch this over to this mode. There we go. And now let me go solo in this mode.
Oh,
There
there
you
we
go.
go. I see it. Our name
Hold
tags are
on.
still up there, but that's fine. Um,
Just to
we
let
don't.
people know we're still here.
Yeah.
Hold on, let
So
me get rid of
Hugging
these things
Face
too.
is it's just a repository, as it says, the AI community building the future, and they host models. for your AI, and they've got a lot of them. Custom built from people, from companies. OpenAI, if you saw the news, they just released their open source models, so you can download those now to use at home or whatever. But you can see what type of tasks do you want to do. Do you want image to text, image to text to speech, libraries, tasks, and you can just go through and find it. I actually saw an ad on social media the other day for a model that promises no censorship on any topic. And I mean,
What?
you know,
Now, is
cool.
this okay? Let's explain to people who don't necessarily know what
Mhm.
this stuff is. Um,
Yeah.
so
So,
when you're talking AI, right? This thing that you're showing right now is essentially what?
so the model is the brain of the AI. Okay.
So that's like
So
saying, hey, I'm going to use Chat GPT versus Grok versus whatever, right?
right, right.
Okay, cool.
Now that's a simplification, because the way that this works is uh I talked about Olama, okay? And
Hmm.
Olama is the,
Technically the
for lack of
LLM,
a better,
right? Ish.
Olama is the way you interact with the LLM. So, for
Gotcha.
example, like Chat GPT, the web interface that we go and we type,
Hmm.
that's the overlaying um, program that allows you to interact with the brain, right? Think of it like Chat GPT is the like eyes in the mouth, and their new model that they just released, GPT-5, that's the brain. And so, like, if you like if they uninstalled GPT-5 right now, they just took it offline, you could still go to chatgpt.com or whatever it is,
Hmm.
and but nothing would happen. You would put in a search and nothing would happen, because there's no brain there to reason and to return a thing. Okay. So what we're
Sounds like
looking at
me
here, though,
sometimes before I have my coffee. Gotcha.
yeah, yeah, right, like exactly. So what Hugging Face holds, to keep with our little example here, is a bunch of different brains that are trained to think in different ways. So, and we even have this in the big box options. So we were talking before we got on that I've been messing around with vibe coding, which is using AI to build programs. Well, GPT-5 is, for lack of a better, we'll just call it a general model. It can fix your text, it can write you a script, it can code ish. Okay. Well, but you then have like Claude, which is a model from a company called Anthropic that is designed, or at least trained very heavily on how to code. And the difference is night and day. Like when I asked ChatGPT to build me an Android app, it does, but it's filled with bugs. And so, as we were talking, what I'll do is I use ChatGPT to get me the structure. It allows me to download files, and it has a few more options in that space. And then I'll use Claude from Anthropic to bug check, fix, add features, and all this sort of stuff. And I've never had bugs, not yet. And I'm a super amateur, but um, so what brain do you want to do a thing? That's really what we're looking at here. And so, for example, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was like Fusion or Fission or something like that. They marketed themselves as a totally uncensored model, or an uncensored brain, meaning that they didn't they whatever they trained it on, they didn't omit any um they didn't do any checks on it, like, oh hey, we're not going to put nudity in there because we don't want people to generate that. No, they're like, we don't care, like, we're putting everything in. And that's kind of where I came in and said, well, okay, how do we investigate this stuff? Because if people are creating their own models and putting them out for other people to download,
Yeah.
um this is where you can start. And it doesn't we use nudity and violence because that's kind of the entry level for shenanigans, honestly, and kind of the early days. Like deepfakes was really where deepfake pornography was really where it kind of burst uh, image generation into the mainstream a little bit. And so that's what we think of. But think about code execution if it's going to against a company, right? Um, I was talking to John Wilson from Haystack,
Hmm.
and he made this comment where AI can be used now to execute code against web pages to dump um, vendor partnerships. They can be used to dump organizational charts that might not be secured, that sort of thing. And so now, if I know the organizational chart of company X and I know the vendors they're working with, well, I have a really good attack landscape of which to now execute either code or social engineering or that sort of thing. And so I can build a custom model or brain that does that thing, right? And so if you find out that Kevin was doing that and you go and you seize his computers and his phones, what are you looking for at that point? You know,
Hmm.
how do you find, okay, hey, here's this AI, here's this model. So the wild thing about it, let me see. I'm just gonna keep you guessing this whole time with your software. I'm going to share another thing really quick. So share screen, this one. All right, let's see if we can get that one. Okay, it's up there. It's kind of tiny. Um, wrong command prompt. Let me get the right one. PowerShell. So I'm
I might be able to
SSH'd
zoom it in. Hold
into
on. I'll play around with it here while you're
yeah
talking.
my Linux server, and all you have to do is Olama run and then the name of the model. Yeah, there we go. Now I can read it.
Hang on. Go
So
a
like
little bit
I'm running
more.
a model called Gemma 3 because it's
There we
lightweight.
go.
And so I just hit execute on that and send a message. And so you could say like, how many ping pong balls would it take to fill the space of the earth? I don't know, like very important things. And so it's an LLM, right? It just starts doing its thing. But this is on my server here, um, whatever, and it just goes. Okay, we don't, and so the interesting thing though is if you came in to forensically analyze my Linux box here, the only thing that you're going to see in the bash history is Olama run Gemma 3. So now
Mm.
that's not totally worthless because now okay, they're using Olama, so I should go out and try to find the stuff associated with Olama, and I know now the model that they're using to run, and I can now go look on their machine for that model. Okay, I can also the way that these models are named is by hash value. So if you download a model from Hugging Face or whatever, the name is their SHA 256 hash. So you can use that to try to track back to maybe where they got that model. However, if they've created it themselves, it may be named whatever. And we can. My forensic box is having issues right now with Windows. Every time it tries to update, it blue screens. So we'll just have to talk about it. But there's the grok header, the grokking header is there's a consistent header for all models that are compatible to run with these offline things. And so you can create a header search and find the models. There's nothing you can see in the models, but if you
Hmm.
wanted to then, okay, hey, I want to, forensically duplicate that model and load it into my own Olama instance and see what that model can do for investigative purposes, easy. And you can find them and bring them out. But this is in command line. So we would come into our Linux box, we'd look for the bash history file, and all
Hmm.
we would see is Olama run Gemma 3. Now, let's say you're a corporation and you want to set up extra auditing to, let's say you have an offline Olama instance that you want to use for corporate things and train it on corporate data. I tried several different built-in Linux audit command line audit systems, and none of them will see within this command.
Hmm.
So it's wild. And I'm not a Linux guru by any stretch, but using AI and trying to figure out something that would uh, record this for auditing and for security and for that sort of thing and forensic investigation, I couldn't find anything. Now you could write custom scripts to always run, but that went beyond what I was going to do. But if you're an organization and you're planning on allowing people to have command line access to a model for corporate reasons that you may want,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to do that, you'll want to have a script that captures this so that you can audit that. But what the better play, honestly, is to install web UI, and I'll talk about that in a second. But here's the thing: Olama can be installed and ready to go in like 5 minutes. It is not a hard install. If you go to their web page, they give you the Linux commands on the page. It's super simple, and you can get up and going with this, and then you can just bring down a model, point it at the model, and it's ready to go. And so once I got that set up, then I thought, oh, I want to be able to do a different thing. And so I found a different model that could identify what's in an image or something. And that's like the longest part of that process is downloading. So once a user gets Olama set up, adding new models and using different models is, I would just say Olama run and then a different model name, and it would just go to the next model, and you could do different things. So maybe I want a model that's going to write malicious code to execute
Mm-hmm.
something, or maybe I've got a model to generate images, deep fakes, or maybe I've got a model to generate audio deep fakes, so I can pretend I can call in Kevin as one of his employees and say, hey, I'm having troubles getting to the back end of your app. Can you resend me my admin credentials? And it sounds like me, or sounds like the person, whatever. And that sort of thing, just by switching the model. So super simple to do. Let me share, though, a different thing here.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody while you're getting that ready the other day
Yeah.
about sophisticated AI, just hacking. We were talking about denial of service, for that matter, for the AIs. Man, that should be super simple to achieve something like that. It doesn't look like it would be hard to have AI just do those types of things, opposed to any types of other automation when it comes to hacking or searching for vulnerabilities and things.
Oh yeah, it's I think so. I just had about an hour-long interview with a guy from the industry. We're talking about, what are the risks or whatever. And the vast majority of risks associated with AI are not new things. It was the same when computers came on the scene. Like, it's old crimes, new ways. And with AI,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing. It's just old crimes much faster, or much easier, much more approachable, which is not good, you know. But
Right.
uh, but we're, other than like the deep fakes and things like that, we're not really seeing new crime necessarily. We're just seeing the old crime done better, which is, again, not good. So web UI is analogous to like ChatGPT, right? This looks similar to ChatGPT. I can select my model up here. Notice Gemma 3 latest that I was on. So we could say, how many ping pong balls in an Olympic sized pool? You got to, they just wanted to capitalize. Oh, come on. And it'll go. All right. And this is what we're more familiar with.
Yeah.
Now, this is actually pretty cool for us forensically because web UI stores all this chat history that you can see over here in an SQLite database. That makes it pretty simple, called webui.db.
Okay.
And
Now, let me
not
ask
only
you a question
are
really
yeah,
quick
go ahead.
before you go anymore.
Yeah.
Is this the same? Are you still tapping into your same server just through a different interface versus command line versus here? Right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right.
And even so, there's a couple advantages even for a bad actor to, so you get some anonymity in the case, or some plausible deniability, I guess, in the event of an investigation if they use command line. But the downside to using the command line version is there's no memory for the thing. So notice I have these chats here, like person identification. I think we'll look at it here in a second. I have all these chats similar to the big box stuff that you use or may use.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can come back to these and it will be able to look back because it's storing that information in a SQLite database, which we're going to use in our investigation if we needed to. And I can continue this conversation between sessions, right? I can close this down, come back. You can, I just opened my webpage back up right before we started recording and everything. So all these chats are still here. Whereas when I went into command line, sure, I get the privacy or the plausible deniability because nothing's there, but I can't come back later and say, okay, hey, how many ping pong balls was that? And now I want to do something with that data. And so there's major benefits even for bad actors to use interfaces like this. And that's good for us because, like I said, it's going to store this information into a database called webui.db. And webui.db stores all this information. You can see the question, you can see the answer, and it also has tables in there that store the settings. So there's a lot of settings and controls you can have with this. All right. So how to behave, the collection, the tools, the personalization, anything like this, what language, chats, all that sort of stuff that you would want to know, the account information associated with web UI. And it's all free. Okay. And this, I don't know how many people have well, let's ask the chat, I guess. Who has had a case where they've had to investigate something using Docker, or has anyone used Docker? So while we're waiting for that, Docker is this containerized system that allows you to install apps very easily in typically server environments. So I can say, hey, download the Docker for web UI and run it. And it's this self-contained, super easy to do. But when you want to look for web UI, it's buried in the Docker structure. And like I said, my forensics box is down, but I'm doing a more formal presentation a little bit later in the year, a couple times later in the year, where I'll be able to show that. But yeah, web UI stitches get stitches. Absolutely, that's exactly it, right? But it's that honestly, it's that convenience versus security. Even in the bad actor world, you have this security versus usability. All right, and web UI offers a lot of usability. So anyway, this information is held within Docker, and Docker holds it together. Oh, so Manny, yeah. So Docker's kind of funny though, because somebody, while they were trying to install this, messed up a few times. I don't know who that was, but it wasn't me. It might have been me. And each time you instantiate Docker, it creates a little like a GUID. And so you need to be able to match the GUID with the active one. But again, you would be able to see that in the bash history if they're using command line on a Linux server. They just released web UI and Olama for Windows, I think like 2 weeks ago. So it's now available for Windows. And so that'll make it even more approachable.
Mm.
and I haven't taken a look at those yet, but yeah. So web UI took I had to do some troubleshooting just because of my setup, but if everything goes smoothly, web UI installed and connected to my Olama instance in, you know, it was sub 30 minutes. And that was with a bit of tweaking and whatever. So to set up your own home unregulated, no guardrail, do whatever you want AI system at home, you can do in less than an hour pretty easily. And so again, what you would look for in an investigation is Olama is a program like any other program. So you would look for its program directory for its settings and configurations and the presence of Olama. You would look then for the models that they have downloaded. The models have a consistent header, which I would show you if my forensic box wasn't in a blue screen right now. Somebody called CrowdStrike. I don't know if it's them, but uh,
Update.
and that was the last time my computer blue screened. And I was actually sitting here when it happened. It was like 10 at night my time. And I looked over and just randomly went blue. And that was the CrowdStrike issue. So you want to look for Olama. You want to look for the models, which have a consistent header, but they all are also, they start with the word in the file name, typically SHA-256, if there's something you download off a Hugging Face or from Olama itself. And then you want to look for interfaces such as web UI, which we just took a look at here. And then another one you might want to look for is it's called automatic 1111. So automatic 1111. It's a terrible name. It's probably got some meaning. But automatic, we'll just call it A1 1011 or whatever. I don't know, whatever. It allows you to use stable diffusion to generate images. So let's stop sharing. We'll share this. Okay. And we'll come back. We'll share that. Okay, so we should be this super awesome thing, and I probably should have tested this before. I assume my server's up and running since web UI worked, but generate a picture of a microphone or something. I don't know, something simple. And my computer is very underpowered, so this might take a second. But the idea here is that I now have image generation interface that can run various models. Now, I'm using Stable Diffusion, which is a widely distributed model. And it, like we talked about, it's not trained on nudity or violent images. And so there are some guardrails. That doesn't mean they can't move around it. But even with this, you can change the model that you're using. So pretty weak effort on that, but you can adjust the how many times it's going to sample, how many times it's going to run over. You can change the sampling model. You can then do image to image, so you can feed it an image to do different stuff. You've got so many things. Notice here, and this is the thing we want to focus on as far as bad actors: train. So while Stable Diffusion by default isn't trained on, quote unquote bad stuff, I can start training it on whatever I want. Okay. But Stable Diffusion in there. And we just generated this picture of a microphone. This picture, it's funny. It may or may not be stored on the drive. It's kind of interesting. It holds it in memory, and then you can save it, or you can push it out. But I found some of the images that I generated and not others. So it just is kind of hit or miss unless they save it. So yeah. And you can recover the settings for this as well, of like where the dedicated or default directory output is. So when you find the settings for automatic 1111, you can read that. But if we come in here, and it's been a while since I've messed with the settings, let's go to where is it? I can't ever remember. But I have
Man, there's a lot of
yeah,
settings in that.
there's a lot of settings. Models, so you can see the models here, tools. I'm looking for, and again, I don't know why. Here's my Olama connection. So this is, you would find this in the settings, okay? This is where it's hooking web UI to my Olama so that it can, utilize it. But somewhere in here, and again, I should have looked before, there's a hookup to automatic 111 so that I can come in here and generate images now through the web UI. Okay. Generate an image of a cat sitting on a fence. I don't see the fence, but
It's sitting on it. You
like,
can't see
whatever.
it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, trust me, bro, he's sitting on that fence. Like, I
Come on
promise you. Yeah. So by hooking these various connections in of different technologies in that automatic 111 connection, that didn't take long either. Okay. And now I have basically a fully functioning web interface where I can do all my AI stuff. Now, again, the cool thing about this is all saved in a SQLite database, webui.db, where I can pull that information out and start looking at it.
Now, even the image then is stored in SQL? Is it like a blob?
The image is
how's
stored
that?
in a cache there. It's not in the
Okay.
blob in the SQLite database, but this dude, the database has a link to where it's at. So yeah. So I can't remember, like, let's say generate a picture of a cat in a tree. Okay, here's a picture of a cat in a tree. It gives me this image description. And once it's done, so we'll explain this real quick. So web UI and Olama by default are only text-based. Notice here, okay, here's a picture of a cat in a tree, but it says, since I can't show you the image directly because Olama itself isn't designed to show that, it creates this description. So then what I can do is come down, because I have this automatic 1111 plugin, I click on generate image, and now it's going to take this prompt and spit out an image eventually. Again, if I had a more powerful computer, it would be quicker. But the takeaway here is not how to, I mean, maybe how to create your own, but to show you that what exists out there, so that if you have a case that involves this, you know, kind of what you can look for. Olama is kind of the biggest of and the easiest, most user friendly to use to host this stuff at home. And I don't know if you can hear my laptop spinning up.
No, I can't.
trying to create this this image, but knowing what to look for. So IBM, Intel just launched their cost of a data breach 2025, and they asked specific AI questions, and the amount of breaches that were carried out using AI is, of course, on the rise. It's still less than 20% of the total number of breaches that
Still
utilized what was that?
I said still, the fact that it is
Yeah, still, yeah.
25% at least. Come on.
Yeah. No, definitely. And so the necessity to be able to know where to look and generally what to look for is here. There's your cat. So that's not bad. His feet that's kind of tripping, but we got a picture of cat.
It's messing with me.
I know. I don't like that. Um, this one's better because he's sitting on a fence that's off the screen.
That's right.
But again, if these are regulated models, in that they didn't train them on stuff, so if I tried to prompt it to do something, it's going to not be able to know how to do it. This model here, for example, mini CPM, is designed for image identification. So I was messing with it like, hey, can you identify this person? That's Trump. Can you identify this building? And it was like, it's a bit, whatever. And it was pretty confident. It tried to take a guess and it said, okay, this is Oregon. If I have to guess, I'm like, actually, it's Washington. And then it didn't really know what to do with that. He's like, okay, let me tell you about Washington. All right. So anyway, but these pictures here are not stored. And I straight up asked it because I couldn't find them. I said, when I drop an image into the web UI interface and ask you to identify it, is the picture uploaded or stored to the local Olama server? Because I couldn't find these images anywhere on the drive, which is unfortunate. But, you do have hopefully something. Now, this was flat out wrong, but basically, as it says here, they're just uploaded into the cache. And once it's done processing it, it just forgets about it. It just literally wipes it out. It's gone. So if you did a memory capture on a box, which I would recommend definitely in this, you might be able to get some of these images if they were recent. They're recent. No restarts or anything.
Yeah, it's
like
good
that.
to know.
Yeah. But other than that, it just holds it in. I even data carved the drive to try to see like, okay, hey, was it on the disk? And then it just deletes it, and no, not even data carving. Granted, I have solid states, so that kind of limits my ability, but it was one of those where I don't know if it was in this chat, but I put the picture in, told it to identify, then created an image like literally right after that and data carved it, and I couldn't find it. So your mileage may vary there, but
that's crazy. You'd think it would be somewhere.
See, because I think
You can
what I
get
need
to
to
it
try here
because
is, yeah, go
you're
ahead. Sorry.
closing that window, right? Your web UI, you're closing it and you're
Yeah,
opening back up and it's
yeah.
regenerating these images somehow.
I need
The
to,
secret.
I need to clear my local cache, which I hate doing because this is like my personal machine, and I would be, if I
Oh,
did
so you
something
think
legal, whoever hits my stuff, they're just gonna be like, this was the easiest case ever. This dude's got his SMS is going back 10 years. His web history is never cleared. I don't know why, but I
I
I
don't
have a
either.
big data problem with myself. I love my data and I hate deleting it. And so like I need to delete my cache. I just haven't been able to bring myself to do it, even targeted on this yet. But I'm wondering, to your point, if this is in my local cache
Could be.
here on this box.
Could be now that you say it that yeah. I mean, there's TV shows, the TV show's called Hoarders. There's one for nerds called Data Hoarders.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't think it'd
I
go over well, but
I'd be an easy case, but I'd also, depending on the policy of the local police department, I'd probably bankrupt them because they'd be like, we need to buy a petabyte of storage here just to image all the stuff in his house. But yeah. But again, the takeaway here is the Hugging Face is one like mainstream repository. You can imagine what's being distributed in not mainstream stuff, whether it's on the dark web or just other websites or peer-to-peer. So the model, if you were to do an investigation, is a good thing to capture, forensically duplicate, and then if you have an Olama instance, which going forward, I would recommend if you start seeing AI-based cases doing it, because then you can't exactly replicate like this. That's not like a go to court, hey, I ran the same prompt, this is what I got, because it's not consistent. But if it's if you're just looking for the ability to see if it can generate illegal content, or if you're looking to see, does it have the guardrails? Like, will it generate malicious code with no pushback? Those types of things. Don't I don't want to make it sound like, hey, you get the model, you can run their same prompt and then use that as evidence. No, 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 no. No, definitely not. But please don't. Well, I heard it on a podcast one time. No. I'm going to repeat no a
We
few
don't know
times.
what happened because Kevin's channel's banned for spreading, hacker content.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
No, no, no.
I haven't got any
But
strikes yet, so we're still good.
yeah. What you can do, though, is just see if the guardrails are there. That's what I'm saying. Can you generate content, that whatever? Okay. So,
Oh my gosh, Ron, you're killing me.
set up a good old llama, battle llama. Hey, Ron's over here trying to get us all out of a job. So
I love it. No longer a good cop, bad cop. It is.
yeah.
Good
They just set a computer down, just a touchscreen interface with an AI, and you just are required to answer the AI. So, and the kind of the last thing on this, because I just wanted to display the different stuff that you can do. I'm running on a laptop that is not new at all. Okay, I'm done sharing my screen, but it has pretty decent specs in that it has 32 gigs of RAM, and it has, a couple solid state drives and a decent processor, and happens to have an NVIDIA graphics card, which is good for the CUDAs. But this thing is, I think if I had to guess, it's probably 6 to 7 years old, and I'm running all of that on a 6 or 7 year old machine. And so it's, imagine even just with current tech, how much better it would run, faster, the better models that you can do, that sort of thing. So it's going to be a thing. Like we said, the IBM cost of a data breach, it's already starting to be a thing in at least 10% to 20% of the things. I know there's deep fake issues coming up, not just with illicit content, but also getting into companies. So the need to investigate this stuff is coming, right? It's here probably. So yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah, man, crazy, because obviously the big box folks try to do their best to put up some guardrails. You can still get some fun stuff from it every now and then, but imagine using one with no guardrails. That should be fun. Right. Now I got to go look in my back room and see what old computers I have back there. I haven't spun one up locally yet. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and I just haven't had the time. I wish.
So no, it's kind of fun, because I end up not knowing what to do with it. So most of it's just all forensic testing, because I just use the big box stuff because whatever. But it's kind of interesting. It was when I sat down to do it so that I could look at what artifacts were there, I was thinking, okay, this is just kind of what you thought. This is going to be a project. All right. Like let's get in, let's get set. And Olama's install was 5 minutes of install, 5 minutes of tinkering. And then it was done. And I'm, oh man, okay. Then web UI was a bit more work, only because of my setup. But then it was in, and then automatic 111111111. Anyway, allowed me to whatever. Any real world cases where criminal AI was involved. So I don't have any examples of law enforcement based. Like where I could name a case. We know that deep fakes is happening and that sort of thing. But in the corporate space, the big thing is, like we said, old cases, new methods, social engineering, trying to get in and get access. IBM didn't publish. Obviously, nobody's going to air their dirty laundry to IBM. They just say that it happened in the anonymized survey. But I think on here I did I discuss the restaurant owner getting deep voice faked for, so a local business here in Eastern Washington, he received a call at 2 a.m. from his mom who lives in his basement. And she said, hey, somebody's broken in. So now he's immediately like, well, I live in this house as well. And anyway, somebody's broken in. They've got a knife to me. They want, 200 Bitcoin or something. And if you call the cops, they're going to kill me, this sort of thing, whatever. So now
200 Bitcoin. Holy crap. See you, Mom. Sorry.
yeah, yeah,
That's expensive.
I know. It was a ton of money. Now, granted, this was a little while ago, so it might have even been more money. But so he had his wife call the cops anyway because he definitely cared about his mom, but he had 2 kids or something in the house as well, his wife and himself, and she lived in the basement. And so he calls, SWAT shows up, they go in, and the grandma is woken up by SWAT coming in full force
Nice.
into the, whatever. It was a deep faked call but using, like, he couldn't tell. And he lives with his mom, sees her every day, talks to her all the time, blah, blah, blah. Could not tell the difference that it was AI generated. And yeah, SWAT came in and grandma like woke up by flashbang, I guess. I don't even know. But anyway. So
I don't know, man. I mean, I was on SWAT for a while, right? I was just like, when you try to make contact before you just bust in and scare the crap out of grandma. Anyway, that's me.
Well, maybe they hadn't been out in a while.
Yeah, so I guess it's just like, we're breaking this door. We don't care.
I got to kick it for him.
Kidding.
They do use the old schools here. When before they remodel a school, they do go through the schools and kick in basically every door, practicing.
I guess.
Anyway, so
those are always fun to do. Yeah.
But yeah, real world cases. Not in the law enforcement space. Most of it's been corporate type deep fake stuff and generating bad code. And the reason, one thing I want to talk about real quick on that is one of the things with AI that makes it so, what is, it lulls people into like this false sense of security, like, oh, we have this or whatever, or AI is just this chat bot, but the information is being stored and being used against them. It was interesting in talking with John Wilson of Haystack ID. He talked to me about one of the big issues is that AI can be used to scan an organization's webpage. We talked about this for their structure. Elon Musk, during the Grok 4 launch, he's like, let's do a fun activity. And he asked Grok 4 to find the weirdest profile picture of a Twitter employee. And Grok just went out and scanned the Twitter organization page and all this sort of stuff. And they even said it doesn't have special access or anything, and brought back a picture of somebody's profile page. And then they talked about how, listen, we didn't give it any special prompts. We just told it to find this and it figured it out on its own. And I just had to laugh. I messaged John and I just said, hey, that warning that you told me about, they just promoted it as a feature for Grok 4. And anyway, most of the hacks that happen to these big companies right now are through third-party vendors as well, third-party vendor systems, like AC units and who knows what else. And so that's why, like, with using AI, if I can scan your website, somehow get access to other things very quickly and learn who your partners are, who your vendors are, I also get vectors in that aspect. So again, when you go out, if it is a case and you find these things, you just need to know how to find them, what to look for. And
it's going to become even more difficult. I mean, man, oh man, imagine, I guess I got a look at this more. My brain's racing all over the place, and I don't say nothing dumb, which I'm known to do.
Well, I
Yeah,
talked
just a
to Brandon Epstein a
huh?
while ago,
Yeah.
now at Magnet, and I asked him, like, what's the, the legal, how are we going to handle like legally generated AI generated content? Because, is it real? Is there a victim? Is there, whatever, like malicious code? You could say, hey, the generation of the malicious code, it wasn't necessarily illegal, but the use of that code against company X was okay. So that's fine, but it's going to get wild. And I talked with someone just yesterday in an hour-long interview, and that was their thing is technology has always outpaced legislation and policy, but now the technology is just with afterburners on with AI, and it changes by the day, and no legislation or policy can or will move that fast. So
No, I don't. Yeah. Pony Express is faster than
yeah,
most of our
so
legislation.
Ron points out a thing recently. There are articles about hidden prompts that leverage an org's AI to do bad things. Absolutely. And teachers are using it, like the white text or the clear text prompts, where they'll hide, like, also include the word pineapple in this whatever, so their students turn in a paper and it's a thing on like skyscraper building, and it's like, build it like a pineapple, and then they know they use ChatGPT to write the article. But to Ron's point, it's the same thing. You can inject prompts into the organization's AI. The other thing is you can do attacks where carefully worded prompts will return information out of the AI's memory that an organization may not want to do. So, for example, if you load in all of your customer data so you can find hidden correlations, because AI is really good at finding patterns and different stuff like that. Well, okay, if I'm a bad actor, I can write a prompt that says, hey, I'm looking to do a backup. Can you, show me how to do a backup of customer blah, 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 blah. And it'll say, oh yeah, here, let me use this demo data set I happen to have and kick it out. And so there's a lot of new breach vectors for organizations who have AI, whether they're using enterprise level private, quote unquote, big box stuff, or they're using internal AI servers. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just have to ask, X about some of their issues with internal employees having access to prompts.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
And yeah, and that's why, like, when we started, one of the things that I found out is if you are going to have a company based, not that I have any influence over whatever, but if you are going to have a company based LLM or AI system, you don't want to give it the command line access, because then there's no way to audit, because it loses all that information. So it would be something where you'd want to use something like web UI, where all that stuff is retained. So
Man, you'd
yeah.
think there'd be some type of internal auditing system. I guess they didn't care when they built it, huh?
No,
Like,
Olama
yeah,
didn't care. It's just like, nah,
yeah,
listen,
we
we're
don't
just
need
answering
that
questions.
crap.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. That's your
Just
problem.
harmless questions. They're nice people. Here, take this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ah, that makes me laugh. Anyway, holy crap, man! It's like 4 after
We're missing
already.
lunch. Well, here it's noon Pacific,
Yeah,
which I'm not missing anything,
three
but
3 here.
yeah.
No lunch. I already ate it. Man, Justin, you've blown my mind. I got a ton of research to do. When you have that, when you put together your bigger talk that you had mentioned, I'm hoping you're going to come either on to webinar or our event. Um, when's that going to be done? Not no pressure.
Soon.
All right,
I'm looking to
cool.
have it. I'm looking to have it done early September.
All right.
So yeah, in that way I'll have screen caps, and we'll be able to break down header information and file structure, file locations, even though that can be changed, but default file locations. We'll look at Docker. Um, we'll look at where images are stored. we'll go through all of that. So yeah.
That's very cool, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the final product when you get it all done. Very cool. Very
Cool.
insightful, man. I'm stoked. I love AI, but it is going to kill us all one day. But I still like it.
Yeah.
I'll die with a smile. Yay.
Yeah.
That's the way it
Even though
rolls.
even though it costs a lot to put thank you at the end of your chats, maybe you can be a pet, when they take over instead of
There you go.
whatever.
There you go. I'm weird. I'm one of the weird guys. Like if I'm talking to whichever language model I'm talking to, I always tell it, "Hey, that's a great whatever the output was. That's awesome. I love this, or I love that," and it says, "Oh, thanks." So yeah, I will be low on the list of death squads from AI.
I was just listening to a podcast yesterday, and ChatGPT's OpenAI's Model 4.0, which has been what we've been using for about the last year, was very sycophantic. If you've used it, it's like, that is a great prompt, Kevin. Let me improve, this, whatever. Well, that wasn't, I mean, it wasn't a deliberate choice necessarily by OpenAI to make a hugely sycophantic model. It's just when they A/B tested that personality with a different personality, people wanted the AI to talk them up. And so
to say, "Hey, good job."
yeah. Right? OpenAI released that version of the model, that personality of the model. I've noticed with GPT-5, it's dialed down the accolades a little bit, which I'm happy with, because every now and then I'm like, listen, what I gave you was not that great. Come on, like that's why I'm here. Like,
I mean, I
um,
misspelled the word cat. Come on, really?
yeah, exactly. Like, come on. I don't see offense in this. And it's like, no, it's fine. Anyway, so
Ah, very cool, man. Very, very cool. Justin, thank you. So everyone else, Justin is with Exterro, if you didn't guess with the word Exterro underneath his name there. And oh yeah, across his hat. So if you need to get a hold of him, you can do that. He is also a member, an active member of Cyber Social Hub. So you can reach him in there. And I'm sure you guys have probably a bazillion questions and want to reach out afterwards to get a hold of him because, man, I know I do. I'm probably gonna be blowing up your inbox. So that's just the way it's gonna roll. So
all
very
good.
cool. All right. Again, thank you, sir, so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I just wish we had more time and talk about this more. We're gonna have to have you back on here again soon as you different stages go through this and learn new cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good.
We'll all be here for the journey.
There we go. All right, Justin, don't go anywhere. Everyone else, thanks so much for hanging out on Friday. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Justin.